Welcome to Teaching Truth. When it was suggested to the business tycoon and the then President of the United States, Donald Trump, that demolishing a house on the edge of his famous golf course in Aberdeenshire, which was being built, was going to cause a bit of a stir among the local residents, Donald Trump replied by saying this: "Who cares? Who cares? It's our property. We can do what we like. Who cares?" Words that could well have been attributed to Pharaoh, who thought in his own way that he could trump everybody else, including Moses and Aaron, who were speaking on behalf of God. But as we'll discover, Pharaoh discovered that he could not trump Moses and Aaron. He could not even trump God, because God brought disaster upon the land that Pharaoh ruled over. And in our reflections this week, under the overarching theme of Moses and the blood, the centerpiece of our reflections this week being the Passover, we want to come today in our reflections to look at how again Moses and Aaron had engaged Pharaoh. Pharaoh, this hard taskmaster. Pharaoh who had a heart of stone, a very hard heart. And God had hardened his heart. And of course, Pharaoh had, by his own choice, hardened his heart as well. If you have your Bible, I invite you to open it, if you will, at Exodus chapter 5. And a few verses just to set the scene from Exodus chapter 5. Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord that I should obey him and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go." In other words, Pharaoh was saying, who cares? Who cares? It's my land. I can do what I like. Who cares? Pharaoh thought that he could trump God. Pharaoh thought that he could trump these two 80-year-olds which had come into his palace, Moses and Aaron. But Pharaoh discovered that God could out-trump him. The engagement of Pharaoh by Moses and Aaron provokes a predictable response. Who is the Lord that I should obey him? Pharaoh had a hard heart. He had no interest in God, and Pharaoh just blatantly refused to listen to the voice of God that was coming through Moses and Aaron. Pharaoh refused to listen. And what we find in life is that we can bump up across many Pharaohs as we try to engage people with the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. We can bump into those who have hard hearts, cold hearts, people who are not interested. And our job, like Moses and Aaron, is to be faithful, is to do our best to engage those Pharaohs in the land that God has presented to us as we go about our daily business. God will put Pharaohs, as it were, in our way, but he invites us, as he did Moses and Aaron, to engage these Pharaohs, to engage the Pharaohs. When Moses and Aaron engaged Pharaoh and got a very cool reception from Pharaoh. They could well have felt, well, what was the point in coming? What was the point in summoning up the courage? What was the point of taking the time to come and speak to this man who just will not listen? Things have only gotten worse. And for Moses, he had to then face the anger and the bitter resentment of the very people that he had come to help. And sometimes we can, having engaged the Pharaohs in our life, having tried to help people, and sometimes as leaders we can face that anger, we can face that resentment, even though we've done our best and done what God has asked us to do. And all that God invites us to do is to be humble and to be faithful and to leave the rest to him. Moses and Aaron were not to see the immediate answer there and then, but what ensued, what followed, were 10 plagues that literally rained down upon the land. And through these 10 plagues, as we will discover as we move through our reflections this week, we discover that God trumped Pharaoh. God trumped Pharaoh. So as we come across the Pharaohs in our life, let's hold on to the reality as we see in the account of Moses and Aaron, that God trumped Pharaoh. Pharaoh thought he was the boss. Pharaoh thought he was the number one. But God trumped Pharaoh. Now that's good news that we can hang on to as we engage the Pharaohs in our life, as Moses and Aaron engaged Pharaoh in theirs.